Top 10, my personal top 10 for 2015 personal movies. This isn't the movies that made the most money. This isn't like the most popular. These are just personally the movies that I enjoyed watching. These are the movies that either had a good story or let a particular actor, do his thing or whatever. It was just personally to me the top 10. All right, in no particular order. The Hateful Eight. I think this is. It didn't get the review that I thought it should get, but it was the one of Quentin Tarantino's best movies. I enjoyed it. You let everybody do their thing, like Samuel L. Jackson. Put Samuel L. Jackson in the movie, give him some great dialogue, let him badmouth his opponent, and he's doing it. So I love the movie. I love the ending. It was a great movie from beginning to ending. It had a great story. I liked the thing about the note from the president. I enjoyed it. The Revenant, of course, that was a good one. I think Leonardo DiCaprio's best performance. Some people are going to say Titanic. I know that, but I think that this was his end-all be-all. This was his best performance so far, at least in my opinion. I like the movie. Crawling out of the dirt, fighting the bear. When the bear jumped out and grabbed him and shook the crap out of him, I looked around. I wanted to make sure there were no bears climbing around through the seats at the movie theater. It was good. Star Wars, The Force Awakens, of course. One of my favorite parts was when they're firing their the rifles, and he just like halts the plasma in midair, and it's like zzz, it's just staying there. That was great. And then he like lets it go after he's done. That was a good movie. It was surprisingly good. I know people are saying that the villain wasn't as villainous as he should be. It was the beginning. It was his dawn of his evil ways. He's still bringing out his inner psycho. He's talking to a crushed helmet of his grandfather. He's a nut. He doesn't need to get much more crazy, but I'm sure that he will in the next movies. Creed. The Oscars snubbed Creed, and that was crazy because that was a great movie. I think it was, again, it was Stallone's best performance. For some reason, he decided, you know what, I'm not just going to just punch meat in a freezer. I think I'm going to act in this one. And he did, and he gave a great performance. I enjoyed it. It was a good movie. It wasn't just a bunch of people punching each other. It's 3 o'clock in the morning here, man. San Andreas, The Rock is doing his thing. He's The Rock, so he's breaking through stuff, and he's ripping his shirt off, and he's doing his thing. That's his thing. He's the premier action star today. There's a couple people arguably as good, possibly, but not really. So San Andreas, You know why? Because The Rock. That's why. Of course, The Rock. Um, Avengers Age of Ultron. Uh, I think the first Avengers movie might have been better, but this one was really as much an introduction to new heroes and new situations and a stepping stone for the other movies. So I know what they were doing with it, and it was good. It was a great movie. It introduced a lot of characters, and it shows that a ton of characters can work on screen. So I'm waiting for Infinity Wars, Infinity Gauntlet, the Infinity storyline. I just can't wait for that. Straight out of Compton. Yeah, I remember listening to the music. I remember when it came out, and I was like, they can't say that on a radio, and it was great. It was surprising, and at that time, in those days, they were saying things that were relevant and things that were actually happening. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the movie. It brought me back. You know, it was good. It was nostalgic. Great movie. AntMan. Again, a great movie. That was fun. AntMan was fun. I mean, the whole setup at the end for part two, bringing in the Wasp and having Ant-Man and the Wasp be different characters from what's primarily considered Ant-Man and Wasp in the comic books. Scott Lang is Ant-Man most of the time now in the books, but I like it. I like the way they did it. I didn't really like the villain, because the villain, the Yellow Jacket armor, the Yellow Jacket armor, is in the comic books is actually a guy. It's the same guy. You know, it's one of his identities. He's got an identity crisis, and he goes, you know, Ant-Man, Giant Man, Yellow Jacket, Goliath, yada 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 yada. He eventually, even Henry Pym, even starts calling himself the Wasp for a while. But you know, comic books and the movie storylines are usually going to eventually differ from each other. But it was good. It was still really, really good. Jurassic World. I liked. I gotta remember to cut that out. Jurassic World. I liked the way that they modernized it and they brought it in into the new age. I mean, when I was younger and I saw the original Jurassic Park, I was terrified. You know, I was like, wow. This should let people know that caveman and dinosaurs were separated by millions of years. They didn't live on the world at the same time. There's no way you could live in a world filled with dinosaurs and you got a stick with a rock tied to the end of it and you're surviving. Yeah, it doesn't happen like that. So, but this movie was great. I liked everything about it. You know, we need more teeth. That was cool. So, Jurassic World makes the list. And the last one, a surprise, The Perfect Guy. It wasn't a box office smash. It didn't make $1 billion like some of the other movies on the list and some of the other movies that are out there. But I like the story. I mean, I've talked to women who have met guys that were complete lunatics and they followed them and stalked them. And sometimes it didn't end well. And this story captures that. It makes you think this guy, maybe he doesn't even know he's as crazy as he is. You know, he's just bug crap crazy. Cray cray. And it was a good movie. You know, it was like it was a modern day Enough, you know, with J-Lo. So that's my list. Do you agree with it? Do you think that there's some things that I missed, some things that possibly should have been on the top 10? Now again, this is my personal favorite. What's yours? Write your first personal favorites down. Put it in the comments. And as always, subscribe, hit like, or don't hit like. And thank you. Enjoy.
Popcorn passport. Get your popcorn passport.